We are seeing so many more e-bikes and e-scooters on our sidewalks and streets, and that means injuries are on the rise and personal responsibility. Disability and injury lawyer Neish Kotek from Kotek Law joins us now, and this is something you won't even allow your son to ride one. He's 11 years old, and Dad says no.
Absolutely not. You know, it's from what I've seen as a lawyer, that sort of the cases that we get called on. He's 11. He asked repeatedly, and I would not.
And this is for a scooter?
E-scooter, yeah.
Okay.
And sort of, you know, I'll give you a bit of background on that. The Hospital for Sick Children last year, in 2024, they put out a bulletin really discouraging the use of these electric devices, e-scooters and e-bikes, for those under 16. The reality is it's illegal under 16 to even be riding them, but what we do see is a lack of enforcement, and we see people on them. I was mentioning the other day, close to my street, I saw a father with probably an 8-year-old daughter standing in the scooter in front and riding. So people are obviously not abiding by the rules and regulations, which are, in fact, you know, you've got to be 16, and if you're under 18, you're supposed to wear a helmet. All right. So one of the issues that we see is that of not only safety but that of insurance. E-bikes and e-scooters are not considered motor vehicles for the province, for example, in Ontario. So they don't require insurance. And tell that to the poor pedestrian who might have, let's say, for example, a pedestrian is hit by someone on an e-bike or an e-scooter. You know, there's no recourse for their under their auto insurance for accident benefits. They would have to sue, and hopefully the person has assets, right? So that's a bit of an issue that we're dealing with. And my thought process is, look, for e-bikes, there needs to certainly be insurance. And you know, there are some insurance companies that are offering insurance for e-bikes
because it's so new, relatively, in Ontario.
And look, food courier drivers, I mean, with the Uber Eats, I believe they are providing some insurance. I'm not sure about Skip the Dish. I think they make them do it on their own. But safety issues and insurance are a major problem that we're seeing here.
Now let's talk about, are there rules for where they can be ridden? Because you see some on sidewalks, some on paths, some on the road.
Absolutely, you're right. So let's talk about the legalities. So e-bikes are legal in the province. They're supposed to be on roadways, or
like a regular bike.
Or if there are, you know, designated pathways where bikes can go, they can go as well. But they should not be on regular sidewalks. Same for e-scooters. E-scooters are technically illegal except for municipal pilot projects, which, you know, Hamilton has one. Toronto didn't do it. I know Mississauga has it. Most cities do. So they can be ridden there, but they're not supposed to be on sidewalks, where we see them all the time, right? And we know, you know, two types of e-scooters we're seeing. The one is the ride share, which some would say can be safer because they geofence. They keep you're supposed, you know, exactly where you're supposed to go.
And there are speed limiters
and speed limiters. And then the other ones are owned individually, which, you know, are not good sometimes because they could be modified, and you know, people tend to go a little quicker. One important thing to know is if you're impaired and you're on an e-bike or an e-scooter and you're caught, under the criminal code, they will consider it to be a motor vehicle, and you could suffer criminal code penalties, including a suspension of your actual driver's license and a conviction, which gives you a criminal record. So be careful on that. They look at it a little differently in terms of the criminal code.
Okay, we've got about a minute left, but what about as a driver?
Yeah.
Like, what if one darts out in front of you and you hit it? Like, what's the?
Yeah.
Where does that go?
All right, look, the rules of the road are always going to apply, okay? So if, you know, from a civil point of view, there's a reverse onus, meaning if you hit a pedestrian, you hit a cyclist, which an e-bike would fall within that, or e-scooter, the assumption is the car driver is at fault unless they can prove otherwise.
Because it's the larger
and that's for civil liability. The difficulty sometimes, look, a motorcycle we can hear. You know, when it's coming by. The e-bikes and e-scooters tend to be a little quiet, so it's obviously awareness is the key, and it works both ways. You know, the motorist in the car needs to be very careful and look and, you know, check your mirrors and check your blind spots. At the same time, the person on the e-bike and the e-scooter needs to be careful. They just can't, you know, keep burning through the stop signs or red lights.
The rules of the road.
Exactly, or there will be consequences, potential safety consequences.
We have run out of time. There's so much more we can talk about. Neish, thanks so much for coming in. We'll get your contacts up on our website at chch.com/morninglive.